On Monday, Canadians went to the polls and delivered a pretty big upset to the Conservative Party. Now, the Liberal Party of Canada went from being massively down in the polls, about 25 points, to somehow retaining their governing majority under Prime Minister Mark Carney, who had taken over for Justin Trudeau. What happened? How did the Conservatives bungle a 25-point majority, polling majority, okay? How did they do that? 2 words: Donald Trump. So now the Liberals actually ended up winning so decisively in this election that Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative Party leader, once thought to be a shoo-in, a lock to become Canada's next Prime Minister, ended up losing his own riding in Parliament. Oops.
Oh no!
So, proving that everything that Donald Trump touches dies. He's got reverse Midas touch. Everything you touch turns to crap. Okay. No, look, here's the thing. Okay, I'm as a leftist perspective, I look at Carney and the Liberal Party in Canada a lot like the Democrats here. They're a bit neoliberal. All right. Carney is not great. Okay, he's a former banker. Not the best choice, in my opinion, but I mean, compared to Poilievre, yeah, kind of a no-brainer at this point. All right, and so this election shows you that Canadian voters understood the assignment, which is to not vote in the far right. Yes, they're going to keep neoliberalism. You know, that's completely expected, okay? But at least they didn't embrace the pro-Trump far right. And it's because of Donald Trump. And so Trump's tariffs and this bizarre obsession with making the entire country, just violating Canadian sovereignty to make them the 51st state, soured a lot of Canadian voters on the Conservative Party. That's it. They saw the disaster that the United States welcomed in with open arms and thought, yeah, no, we're not going to go in that direction. That seems really stupid. Yeah. Stupid. Yeah, no, really stupid. Yes, U.S. voters, we done effed up. All right? We done effed up badly. All right? And so, look, Canadian voters didn't want to make that mistake. And they explained why they voted against the Conservative Party, why they voted for the Liberals here when they were interviewed by CNN. Take a look.
Who I voted for would be the best to take care of Trump, because Trump is, I'm sorry to say, and he shouldn't even be president of the United States. But because he is, we need a strong person so that we could stand strong.
Well, I'm not sure what one does with a madman. You know, even individual Canadians are doing what they can by shopping non-American and showing how ridiculous these policies and his language has been about Canada.
Most top of mind is Canadian sovereignty and maintaining that Canada continues to be a sovereign nation. That's probably the biggest issue, the most important thing to me right now. I voted for the Liberals, and I chose to do that because it is a scary time with what's happening across the border in the United States, and I feel that Mark Carney is a serious choice for a leader who will address that really with the right level of gravitas.
Again, I'm not saying that Carney is my favorite person. Again, neoliberal, politicians are not my favorite people, obviously. But here's the thing. They actually made a better decision than a lot of us did in this country. And so you got to point that out. All right. Now, that said, social media erupted with praise from well, I should say praise in Donald Trump's assistance to the Liberals in Canada. In fact, podcaster Washat Ali said, the Liberals in Canada were dead in the water until Trump came along, energized an entire nation against him, and voila. See what happens? The impact of an unpopular president, American president on a foreign election is stunning, wrote Democratic pollster Matt McDermott. Another said, we've never seen anything like the seismic political shift Trump triggered in Canada to deliver a stunning liberal win. Yep. Trump's toxicity is rewriting global politics. The campaign manager in this is Canadian Globe and Mail cartoonist Michael DeAdder saying, quote, Donald Trump is the best liberal campaign manager in the history of Canadian elections. And then this is GOP Latino consultant Mike Madrid writing, Trump cost the conservatives the election in Canada. He's mobilizing the world against the United States. Well, not against the U.S. population, obviously, but against this criminal government that we have. One that allows people, that are in ICE to violate people's constitutional rights by allowing them to just come in to people's houses without a warrant. That is warrantless search and seizure. That is against the Fourth Amendment. So they're unconstitutionally breaking the law, that they are a lawless administration. And people look at that and say, no, I'm not enjoying that. I'm not in favor of bringing that over here. Okay, that's it. And so, hey, I love the reaction here. And again, I love the fact that at least that Canadians understood this assignment and said, okay, we're not going to go in that direction. So there's more, by the way. Canadian-American political historian Tim Naftali, wrote this, quote, Donald Trump's nastiness toward Canada didn't produce conservative dominance there. J.D. Vance's nastiness in Europe is producing the same result there. We can debate why nastiness seemed to have worked here in 2024, but it doesn't travel well. Yeah. It's funny how Donald Trump is so incredibly toxic that the world is like, yeah, we know better than to F with that guy. All right. And you guys in America, I don't know what you guys are doing, but wasn't very smart. We're not going to go and do the same thing as you are. All right. And by the way, this is just the latest defeat for Trump-like politicians across the world. Remember, I've talked about Duterte in the Philippines. Okay. No longer president. And actually, he's at The Hague right now. You have Jair Bolsonaro in Brazil. Okay. Getting defeated. You had the German elections. I mean, it's been a pretty big disaster for the far right across the world. And by the way, 2024 was the opposite. You had a lot of incumbents that got thrown out because people were very, very unhappy with them. That allowed the far right, and in many cases, many places, to come in and assert some dominance, right? Now, that's getting just completely reversed because people now see the destructiveness and disaster that is Trumpism. And they want no part in it. No part in it at all. So the only place that the far right seems to have done really well here, and maybe I'm probably missing a few places, but the United States, obviously, and Russia. I see. Look, once again, I'm glad the world seems to be learning from our mistakes, because we sure didn't. Not the first time, anyway. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.